true story. And no one thinks about entrepreneurship as an opportunity or a channel for
Mm.
career path, right? If when I was growing up, if I told my parents that I want to become an entrepreneur, then they said, what are you even talking about? No, doctor, lawyer, engineer. It's so
Yeah,
simple, right?
yeah.
So I think the first major obstacle immigrants face is the cultural stigma, and it's really hard to get out of it. And you can get out of it if you believe in yourself, and then you have the
Mm.
determination to cut through the chains which is holding you down, and then figure out, okay, you know what, you get only one life, and you're gonna see what comes out of it by starting your business, right?
Yeah.
And that's why you don't, and also you don't have to immediately leave everything and just go in
Mm.
both, full on with your business. You could always start it as a side hustle and then make it into a full-time hustle, which we'll talk about in a bit. So the first obstacle is the cultural stigma,
Mm.
which you have to get through immigrants, right? The second thing is stereotyping. So a lot of people, not a lot of people you have met or I have met, and who came to the United States when I came to the United States, which was about 13, 14 years ago. Usually there was this um, mindset or assumption that people from southern part of India are very timid. They won't ask questions.
Mm.
They're not
Yeah.
they're not outspoken. So a lot of people took advantage of that without even knowing who I was, right? And when I started talking like this, they said, "Who are you?" Right? Then I said, "Dude, you're just stereotyping folks."
Mm.
Just like how in the US, for people who are born and brought up here, you have different types of people. You have introverts, extroverts, ambiverts, right? Similarly, when you come from India, you come from Asia or other parts of Asia, there are going to be different types of people. So
Yeah.
don't group all folks into one category. So that is something which I had to face because I went to a lot of entrepreneurs for advice, a lot of consultants in terms of what are the challenges you face when you start your own business? What are the different things you can expect? So when I was having all those kind of conversations, I had to go through a lot of assumptions, stereotyping. So
Mm.
that is the second challenge. And probably one more challenge, which we were just talking about. Uh, I think we were talking about it, but it was the visa issues. So when you come as an immigrant to the United States, you either have to have a green card to start your, own business
Mm.
without any chains holding you down, or you need to have a work permit like a H-1B, in which case someone else has to sponsor you, and then you are tied to a particular group or organization. So it's really hard if you come in as an immigrant midway through your life, and then if you want to start a business, if you want to become an entrepreneur, then you have to think about all those repercussions as well, like
Mm.
the visa issues, and then what are the legal things which will come up out of it. Because as an immigrant, you're not a green card holder or a US citizen. So you have to go through a lot of hoops. And I had to go through a lot of hoops as well till I became a US citizen. Right. So those are kind of the three things which I personally face. And I know a lot of people around me face as well. So that is definitely something to think about if you take this journey as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, no, for sure. I can relate to that because everything that you mentioned I've gone through and still going
Right.
through as an immigrant, right?
See, only immigrants get it. That's what I tell people. A lot of people who are born and brought up here, they don't understand the struggles and the obstacles immigrants have to go through. Not only entrepreneurs, even folks who want a job, any kind of job, right?
Yeah.
We already start with from a step back than other folks. And now with COVID, when a lot of jobs have been lost, immigrants who need work permits are still, are
Yeah.
already in a disadvantage because for one thing, getting jobs is hard. For the second thing, they need a sponsorship. For the third thing, no one is ready to sponsor. So there's a lot of things people don't understand. And one thing which I've been doing through my talks, because I speak at a lot of conferences, is to build that awareness what immigrants have to go through. I also
Mm.
talk about diversity and inclusion, which is a different topic.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, definitely immigrants have their own struggles, and people like us, have to keep posting about it, talking about it, so that you can build that awareness and then support each other.
Yeah, no, for sure. And now that you say it that way, you put it into perspective for me to understand, because I think I tend to be naive when I do things. I do hard things, and people always looking into and saying, "Oh, how did you do it?" And I always look back and thinking to myself, well, it's actually easy, like because you are in it. So when you are overcoming your own challenges and your adversities,
Right.
you think like, oh, okay, it's a piece of cake. But like from other people's perspective, it's actually not that easy. Now that you put it in perspective, I'm like, yeah, I've gone through a lot of things, and my path, like kind of career path has been exactly that. I came for my MBA, and this is the thing that people don't understand, for especially for girls. I don't know about guys, but for girls that come to United States and trying to like stay or figure out their career, and if they cannot find a job, the first thing that people go to and say, why don't you get married, and then you just get your paperwork finished. It's like, oh my god, like seriously, like I cannot just get married just because I want paperwork, right? And it's like,
Right. That's unfortunate. Yeah,
it's the thing that
unfortunate.
people push all the time, and I'm like,
Right.
what? I don't understand. But anyways, I went through that, but it's
I think
very
that's why
tough
there's something called
mental.
the immigrant's edge. I totally believe in it. What for us, our mindset is different. Our mindset is survival. But
Mm-hmm.
people who are born and brought up here, they have a different mindset because they
Yeah.
have their cushy, comfortable buffer,
Yeah.
whatever that may be.
Yeah.
And so their mindset is totally different compared to us. For us, it was survival, right? Because when I came to the United States, I still remember this in 2008. I when I came just a week after I came to do my master's, the recession started,
Oh wow,
right?
yeah, that year.
That year, 1 week after I came, Lehman Brothers, the biggest financial firm in the world,
Yeah.
they became bankrupt overnight, and that kind of triggered the recession.
Yeah.
And getting jobs was so freaking hard.
Yeah.
And from the beginning of 2009 till end of 2009, I applied for 1,293 jobs. And
Wow.
when I tell this to people, people are saying, "Wow, how do you do that?" Because for me, it was about
There's
survival.
no
I didn't want to
option.
go back
Yeah,
because
there
I
was no.
needed someone to sponsor my work permit, right? So I
Yeah.
just kept going, going, going. So talking about mindset, I think we come from a survival mindset rather than a comfortable mindset. And
Mm.
that's what I call the immigrant's edge. But yeah, that is something we have in common, I think, and a lot of immigrants have in common. And that's why somehow, if we are consistent and believe in ourselves, then we tend to do great things. And that's why I tell people as well, don't lose hope and just keep pushing.
Yeah, so that's like our second question that we want to talk about, is like how to shift your mindset and turn adversities into opportunities. And I do believe in what you're saying. Immigrant edge is where, like, any adversities or challenges that we face, especially being in the country like United States or North America, we tend to turn it into an opportunity, right? Like it's really
Right.
hard to find a job, but we push harder to find a job, and then we get sponsored, right? And then
Yeah.
we just find the way to do it. But then also, I guess my curious question on this topic is, how did you change from the survival mindset now to become a growth mindset and the entrepreneurial mindset? Because those are different things. And the thing is, our parents, like older generation, they didn't really taught us that. Like
Right.
everything that they taught us, and especially when they sent us out overseas, they're like, okay, just survive and make sure that you're alive. But like if you're going, through hard time, then just come back, because like home is comfort. Everything is figured out at home. So
Right.
how do you shift the mindset that actually even pushing harder? Because entrepreneurship, it's not survival, in my opinion. It's actually more than that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's a great question. And for that, I think I have to set some context here. I was not born like this, where I could talk in front of thousands of people, give big speeches and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I actually grew up as a really shy, introverted kid. And I was born in a family of really smart people and genius folks, right? So my dad he studied throughout his life in scholarships. Then
Mm-hmm.
my brother is a genius. He has 3 masters and a
Oh
PhD.
wow.
And then there I was, the average Raj who didn't do well in anything. Academics, dating, sports, you name it. I was average in everything. And growing up in that background, it was really hard because, as you know, in the Asian community, academics is pushed really hard. And then they compare you with a lot of other
Yes.
folks, right?
Yes.
And the constant comparison, what that ended up doing to me was I felt really bad because I could never live up to people's expectations. And I wanted people to notice me, but they just kept ignoring me because I was this shy, introverted kid. So the more I tried to impress people, the more disappointed I got because no one was noticing me. So that led me into uh, this period of anxiety, depression. I had fear of being judged, fear of being ignored. Even like talking to a girl would feel as if I'm going to get a nervous breakdown, right? So I was that type of person till my second year of my undergrad. But then during my second year of my undergrad, I had a trigger event. I still remember this vividly because I was in my study room. Then all of a sudden my heart started pounding, like really heavy pounding in my heart, and I thought I was getting a heart attack. But now I know it was my first severe panic attack, and the heaviness in my heart then moved towards my head. And then I started crying, right? For 2 hours, I was profusely crying because all these feelings and of anxiety, depression, being compared, being considered as a nobody, right? All these feelings which had bottled up inside me kind of exploded. And this Pandora box of feelings opened up, right?
Wow.
That's when I had got this realization that, man, for 20 years of my life, I had wasted my talents because I was living a life for other people. I was trying to please
How
other
old
people.
were you?
I was 20. I was 20, 21 actually, when this actually happened. And I was letting other people's opinions be my reality. And to please other people, in the process, I was actually disappointing myself. And I had a lot of thoughts and feelings coming out of me during that time. And that's when I decided, you know what? I matter. I'm good enough. I have my own skills. Screw everyone else. I'm going to strive for greatness. I'm going to carve my own identity. And I think that's when the transformation started, right? So going back to your question, how do you shift your mindset from a place of scarcity to abundance, from a place of fear to from survival to thriving? It's about shifting your mindset, and you need to hit rock bottom. Some adversity even has to happen or to ignite that spark within you, right? And for anyone watching, listening, this is, if you are in a similar kind of situation, here's what I did, and you could do the exact same thing, and this is really going to help you, right? So when I had this trigger event, the first thing I did was, okay, now I want to change, but I don't know what to do. So I started writing down all my fears. I had fear of being judged, fear of being ridiculed, fear of failure, fear of being ignored. Then I had anxiety. So I wrote down all these fears. And then for each of these, and then I had fear of public speaking. So for each of these fears, I started writing down different things I could do to change that. And then I started tackling it one by one. And again, this is not something which happened in an instant. It was a gradual process over the past, at least 14 years, where I made slow progress in overcoming some of my limiting beliefs, overcoming some of my fears. And that's how my mindset kind of shifted from survival into believing in myself, into thriving in whatever I do. You put me in any situation, I'll learn, I'll figure it out. Because with Google, and with all the other entrepreneurs who are already successful and sharing their knowledge with people, anything is possible. You just have to have the mentality to change. And then the key thing is also being consistent, because we live in this world who do not believe in the power of delayed gratification. So what do I mean by that? Everyone wants only results. So if you see those influencers on Instagram, they'll post these pictures in their Ferrari, Lamborghini with the big house and stuff like that. And then people like it. Man, I want to be like him, be like her. But no one talks about what are the struggles they had to go through to get to that level. Or they're in $1 million debt, but they're just putting a different persona on social media. So there's so much inside story which you need to know. And those folks who legitimately became millionaires or billionaires because of their hard work, the thing is they were consistent. They kept doing the things, even though they didn't see the results immediately because they were thinking about the future. That's the power of delayed gratification. You do the work, and then slowly, when you lay the seeds, the plant is going to grow. And that's how whatever your goals are is going to happen. But a majority of us, we are lazy. We have all these audacious goals, but we don't want to do the freaking work, right? And then nothing is going to happen.
Right.
So to summarize, a couple of things here, right? To shift your mindset. First thing is writing down your fears and then strategizing how you're going to overcome those fears. Do it step by step. It's a gradual process. Second thing is be consistent. Start small. Don't try to do 100 things at one time. Pick 2 things. Do it for a month, right? In the book, The Power of Habits by Charles Duhigg, he talks about the 3 R's, right? So routine, repeat, routine, reward, repeat. Routine, reward, repeat. So you have to do anything at least for 30 days until it becomes a habit, right? So be consistent and believe in the power of delayed gratification. So that's what I would say you can do to change your life right now.
Yeah, no, that's really great. And it's a lot of hard work to work on your, changing your mindset, especially if you are trying to pave the way as an immigrant, because you are doing something absolutely new that your parents have not been done before.
Yeah.
Nobody has shown you that. And now you came to like North America, and with the power of internet, you get exposed to all of these great people or influencer or maybe, people that sharing their knowledge, but like you don't really know where to start. So you really need to start from small things and starting from your fear, right?
Right.
And I always believe too, which probably we can add into your idea of immigrant edge, is if you really choose to change your mindset, you have to do what is hard first.
Yep.
And then everything else that you will have to do eventually, it will become easy. And that's why, like, I would say, like, as an immigrant, we do hard things, but we don't think about it because it just become, in a way, a habit.
Yeah, it becomes part of you, right?
Yeah, it's a part of you, exactly.
And one more thing to mention is when you do the hard things, then the next question all those negative folks around you are going to ask, what if you fail? I failed so many times. That's why I don't want to do the hard work. This is the thing you need to remember. It's not the results. It's a journey that matters, because whether you fail or succeed, you're going to do so many different things, and you're going to discover so many different things about your capacity, about your skill set, about your communication, about your mindset. And those things which you learn, you can transfer that into the next goal. You can then, for the next goal, you again start doing different things, and you can use the knowledge from the previous goal in your next goal and the next goal and the next goal. So it's a journey, which is what matters. So when you do the hard work, you may fail, you may succeed, but you're going to learn, and that learning is going to make you stand out from the crowd. It's the learning that is going to help you grow, right? Because when you learn, that's when you grow, and when you grow, you succeed. And when you succeed, other people succeed because of you. And that's how it works. So just do the work, and then there's always going to be light at the end of the tunnel. I firmly believe in that. You just have to be consistent. So
yeah. So I wonder, so with that mindset, you were working as a software engineer, I believe. And then what was the change that happened or made that you decided to start your small side hustle? And then maybe kind of give us a run through how that turned into the main hustle.
So since 2012 I was in leadership positions in the tech space. I was leading teams and managing teams. I was giving performance reviews. I was doing people management, right? And during that experience, I helped a lot of people involuntarily, in the sense from a career standpoint, from a personal standpoint. And then people started telling me that, man, you're really good at this. You have this knack for getting deep into people's problems and finding solutions. You have the knack of making complex things simple. And people kept telling me this constantly, right? And since 2011, 12-ish timeframe, I started reading a lot of books, and I had this itch to do something on my own. So I believe in 2017, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna, I don't want to take a risk without knowing what I want to do, by just going full on my actual business without even getting clarity on what I want to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a side hustle, which means that I'm going to have my full-time job, 9 to 5 job, and in the rest of the time, I'm going to start working on a side job to see and experiment with things. So in 2017, I registered my company and I started with technical training and workshops. So I started doing that all over the world, like in Sweden, in Estonia, in Finland, and a lot of European space mainly. I did that till about beginning of 2018, but then it became so repetitive for me. And, I was not getting that impact kind of thing, which I wanted to make in people's lives. And that's when I came back to my roots of other folks. I remember people telling me that I have this knack for helping people in their careers, right? Then I said, you know what, I'm going to pivot a little bit, and then I'm going to start helping people in the tech space for free and see how it goes. So I shifted from workshops into coaching people. One thing led to another, one thing led to another. At one point of time, I had like 20 people I was working with. And then I was in a tough spot that time where either I have to somehow manage my side hustle, which is growing, with my full-time job, which was very taxing to me because I was getting paid really, really high, right? I could have bought a basic level Mercedes with actually my salary. I was getting paid really high. I was working for a tech startup. So that was the problem. So much money was holding me, but then this growing business was holding me. So I was in this impasse, right? So in this borderline in terms of what I want to do. Then I decided, and here's some strategies which your listeners and viewers can also follow. So whenever you have a side hustle and you think you're going to go full-time into your business, what I would do is open up an account, okay? And whenever you get a salary from your full-time job, start putting a percentage of the salary into the business account, okay? That's what I started doing when I started my side hustle. And then once that business account starts growing, now you have the money to experiment with things. And that's what I did. And then when I had to make the decision in terms of whether to leave my full-time job and go in full-time into my coaching business, it was a hard decision. But then I remember this because you have only one life, right? Confucius, the great philosopher Confucius says this: we all have two lives. And the second one starts when you realize we have only one. We all have two lives, and the second one starts when you realize we have only one. If COVID has taught us one thing, that is life can change in a second, right? So if you have something, if you have a burning desire, do it. Worst case scenario, if it doesn't work out, okay, then go back. Getting tech jobs is so freaking easy, okay? Millions of freaking IT folks, IT companies, right? If you keep applying some way or the other, you are going to get a job. So that's what I decided. And also, it was kind of my calling, helping people as well. So I took the tough decision in 2018 to leave my really high-paying job and then get into coaching, right? So that was kind of my journey from how I converted my side hustle into a full-time hustle. But during those transition, there are 7 steps which I actually discovered, which will also help all of you listening as well, if you want to convert your side hustle into a full-time hustle, right? So here goes the 7 steps, and you can write it down, look at it, and it's going to make a lot of sense. The first thing you want to do is do what I call is the mind dump exercise. So take a paper and pen, put a line through the middle of the paper. On the left side of the column, write down things you like to do. On the right side of the column, write down things you hate to do. Just by writing that, take 30 minutes, 1 hour uninterrupted time, no Facebooking, no messaging, just do this. And a lot of things which are unlocked in your mind is going to now become visible when you start writing it down. And from your strengths, you can start finding patterns in terms of different things which ignites you, different things you're passionate about, okay? So once you find what your strengths are, then figure out which of the strengths you could use to help people, right? When you do that exercise, you may get like 4 or 5 things which you could do to help people based on your strengths. Then pick the top three. Pick the top three skills which you think is going to help people, right? And then think about who's your audience. So for example, I'm a tech career strategist, right? I'm not a business coach. I'm not a life coach. I'm not a marketing coach. I'm not a sales coach. I'm a tech career strategist. I help folks in the tech industry to find their dream job and become successful leaders. My audience is the tech space, right? So it's really, you have to be really focused on who your audience is. And again, it doesn't happen overnight. You have to experiment with social posts and, you know, see what clicks, who's your, you know, talk to people, you'll get an idea. So then once you find who
also
your
who has money
audience is, think about what problem you can solve. Problem people have which you think you can solve with your skill sets, right? Just to make sure people are following. So this is what I've covered so far. So first thing is doing the mind dump exercise, then figuring out the top 3 skills which you think you can help people with. Third thing is finding out who your audience are. Fourth thing is figuring out what problem you're going to solve for people, right? What is going to differentiate you from other people, right? That's the fourth thing. And then the fifth thing is creating your service. So how are you going to create that service which you want to provide? For example, I do career coaching, I do speaking, and I also do writing. I'm a 3-pronged business, but my main business is coaching, helping people, right? So how am I going to package that into a service, right? And then the 6th and the 7th is marketing and promotion. So how are you going to market your skill set so that people trust you, right? And then how are you going to promote yourself? Right. So those things, apparently that's what I followed, which I didn't even know. And now when I think about what I did, those were the 7 things which I actually did to transform myself. So always, you know, experiment with things if you're unsure about what to do, and then build a nest egg and a separate account from your full-time salary. And then you can pivot and then get into your full-time job. And that way it'll be lesser risks. And in that way, you at least know what you're doing, right? And you know, like me, that in the entrepreneurial journey, you're going to discover a lot of things in the path, right? So you may pivot from time to time, especially with COVID. A lot of entrepreneurs had to pivot, including me, right? So you will keep pivoting, but the point is at least you'll have some clarity in terms of, you know, what your calling is, you know, what your purpose is, and then you can align other things to serve the goal or the purpose you have. So
no, yeah, absolutely. And I love that you are coming from the background of leadership and you make things very clear, you know, point them out and help people, you know, to really have a clarity to understand and actually write it down, you know, because sometimes people just listen and like it goes from one year and like go to another year, you know, so I really appreciate that. So I really appreciate you just sharing all of this and walking through this process. And it's the reality of really building, you know, something for yourself on the side without, you know, worried. And actually recently I've been posting more just about like leaving 9-to-5 job and actually encouraging people to think about it again, like before you leave, you know, because I actually left, in a way, my story is a little different because I have to leave because my H-1B visa actually was expired at the time. And they were actually delayed on their paperwork. Like my company was delayed. So like I have to like kind of take a break. They wanted me back, but we have to kind of put the pause on my work. And then that's when I kind of was pushed into this space of like, okay, I need to figure out what to do next. But it was really exciting for me because I always wanted to do entrepreneurship. So when they actually wanted me back, I say when my paperwork was finished and done, they wanted me back. And I wasn't sure like if I should or not. So in a way, I left cold turkey, like no, you know, like no really, I thought about it, but I never was actually able to do it. So I always say in a way I manifested it within my, you know, unconscious mind.
I do believe in the power of the universe, right? Because I'm not spiritual or religious, but I believe in the universe. The universe is going to show you different signs, right? And usually it comes from situations like yours, or
Yeah,
for me,
so yeah, no, for
situation like
sure.
mine.
And the thing is, now that I gone through it, I actually have been posting more and sharing with people like, well, don't live cold turkey. Like, my situation was a blessing in the sky for me, but at the same
Right.
time, it's tough. Like, emotionally and financially, it's very tough. So
Yep.
your idea of like just start, if you already been thinking about start putting the fun away so that you prepare for that rainy day, because the thing is that social media doesn't post and talk about like how hard it is financially and mentally to be an entrepreneur. You know, they don't show you how they feel. They only show you how like it's awesome. I have freedom. I have these cars and this and that, but they don't show you those days when you have zero clients
Right.
and and you're like just trying to figure out like what I'm doing. And the hardest part is when you start doubting yourself, right? Like you mentioned in the beginning that you need to have that faith and the vision for yourself that you will succeed, because the rainy days and the doubts will come. And I'm learning it myself. Is you're going to end up spending more time doubting yourself than actually taking an action. Like just choose one and do it. But when you're in the moment of indecision, you cannot make the progress forward. Like
Yeah.
indecision is one of the things that kills people, like moving forward and kills their career. Like even with your career pivoting, like just choose and go and try, and then you can always change. So I just kind of want to add that
And that's why I
later.
think you have to surround yourself with positive people as well. If you want to grow, then surround yourself with people who are better than you from a mindset standpoint, from a career standpoint, from a business standpoint. And that's how you can motivate yourself, right? Because I think entrepreneurship is a very lonely place. It's
Yeah,
funny way of saying it, although there are entrepreneurs all over the place. When you're down, there are only few trusted people you can go to get you back.
absolutely. Yeah.
And that's why even in your entrepreneur circle, find those two or three folks who can cheer you on, who can be your accountability partner. And then you could do the same for them as well. And I think that's what really helps. And that
Mm.
I found that the hard way because I was really lonely. And then
Mm-hmm.
luckily I had a friend, then I hired a business coach, and then I started getting into this mindset of growth. And then it changes you when you surround yourself with positive
Yeah.
people.
No, absolutely. Um, yeah, so I guess I want to just kind of wrap up this conversation and, let people know that you already given them great advices, and, that let them know that they can follow you. I'll make sure I put the links below. You can also looking into Raj's book called Skyrocket Your Career, where he talks about how you can find your dream job and just be successful at it and transform to become a rock star, how he said it. And also you have a YouTube channel. So
Yep.
I'll make sure I put it down there so people can follow. Any last words?
I just glad to be here. Thanks for giving me this opportunity to share some of my learnings into entrepreneurship, mindset, and consistency as well. So thank you. And yeah, as Mimi, you were saying, I'm super active on LinkedIn. Make sure to follow me and then ping me on LinkedIn. And if there are any questions which we couldn't answer during the interview, just ping me or put it in the comments, and I'll make sure I
Yeah.
reply to it. So
Well, thank you so much. And make sure you go and follow Raj on LinkedIn and just connect with him. He is very active on there. Or any question, I'm pretty sure this is the time where people will try to either pivot their career or change their career. So, Raj is a perfect person to go and ask. So, since he is extending his, invitation, make sure to take on that. Well, thank you so much for being here today. And yeah, I will make sure to share all the links. And again, if you're watching this as a replay, make sure you share this with someone else that that maybe benefit from it, or just tell people about Rush if they are looking for a job, or if you have any question that is related to publishing online and putting yourself out there as well as entrepreneurship. Make sure you connect with me and send me the DM with your question. Thank you so much for watching, and till next Thursday.
thank you. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Raj.